the FCT Minister. And of course, it was quite the conversation. And the fact that that particular narrative was what the FCT Minister himself suggested weeks later, it begs a lot of questions. And of course, the first question I want to ask is this a running narrative in the Wike camp? Is it something that was suggested? Has that always been the plan? That the governor apologizes to the FCT Minister long before the FCT Minister said that two governors approached him? Well, Dr. Gift Worlu has returned to answer these questions. He is a former commissioner for housing right here in Rivers State and, of course, a public affairs analyst before politics got into the mix. Welcome, Dr. Worlu. How are you doing?
Very well. Good evening and happy Easter Monday.
Okay, I wish you the same. I'm certain that you remember our last conversation, and it is something you just suggested. Now, the FCT Minister has emphasized on it. So I have to ask you, the Wike's camp, is this something they've been saying for quite some time? Because, the possibility of a coincidence exists, but I feel like it's not a coincidence.
Thank you very much. First, we have to agree that this crisis shouldn't last forever.
Yeah.
Because the crisis itself, I'm sure that nobody has taken time to calculate the economic and otherwise cost of this crisis. But casually, you know that it has taken a huge toll on not just the economy of the state, but even the psychology of the people. I'm afraid that the problems associated with this crisis, especially in the context of brothers against brothers, sisters against sisters, it might take several years to really heal and bring us back to at least where we used to be. It is also important to know that Rivers State before now used to be a tourism destination. It used to be a place where people came from other states at weekends to come, unwind, and all of that. Nightlife was something that everybody looked up to in Rivers State. Nightclubs, you remember the days of bootleggers, Dreams nightclub, and all those nightclubs in town. And people will go, brothers will meet with brothers, and all whatnot. But today, it's a different story altogether. Because even the people who manage to have the money and would want to go and enjoy are afraid to do so for fear of whatever. And so, any reasonable person would want that this thing ends.
Yeah.
And I've also said before that this matter was purely a PDP matter. It was an internal PDP matter because the initial issue was between the state governor and the assembly. The state governor of the PDP, assembly members, all of them, PDP. But no thanks to poor handling, all other interests came in. Some people left APC, left Labour Party, and joined the fight. They formed what was called the Simplified Movement. And elders came in. Rather than playing the role of elders, they took sides one way or the other, one side or the other. Even people who are not from Rivers State at some point got involved. So what was a state matter, an internal matter of the PDP, became not just a state matter, but a national matter. And it became not just a disagreement, but a crisis that continued. Matters went to court. So many things happened. Eventually, there was a Supreme Court judgment. And then we now had the state of emergency, which I have said was absolutely correct and fantastically necessary to bring about what we can now call a measure of relative peace and stability in the state. Because before now, everybody was afraid. Nobody was sure what was going to happen next. But there seems to be, like I call it, there is like a ceasefire. And we have relative peace. So if what will bring the complete peace is for the governor to go to his oga, as he calls him, to say, my oga, I'm sorry. Whatever I may have done that didn't sit well with you, please let go.
Okay, Dr. Worlu.
And we are doing this in the interest of the state. We can sort out our issues, but let us see how we can get back to that point where we're talking as one party, we're talking as one people, and all of that. And again, let me say that disagreement itself is not really a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's how people handle it that matters.
Okay, we have a commercial coming up in 30 seconds. But within that time, I also remember when you said it's a PDP matter, that I disagreed with you on the basis that one of the subjects, as a matter of fact, a lot of the characters in the dispute were leaders in different positions. While Governor Similai Fubara is a party man, he is a governor.
They got into those positions through the vehicle called PDP.
But the latest profile is he is governor of Rivers State.
Yes, of PDP. He's a PDP governor of Rivers State.
We need to take this break now.
Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
3 Nigeria Info, Sam Oracle Chinedu here, and my guest, Dr. Gift Worlu, is still right here with me. And we're talking about the probability of a Fubara apology. This is as suggested by the FCT Minister, stating that that is the condition for forgiveness of the governor, and indeed a peace that Rivers desperately needs. You're welcome once again, Dr. Worlu.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. So my response to your position earlier about it is a party affair, which it actually is. And I remember at the time I also responded the same way I'm responding now, that the minute Siminala Fubara moved from party man to governor, it became a bigger affair. Because an example I can use at this time, because of recency bias, is the passing of the Pope, right? The Pope died this morning. Now, the Pope is the leader of the Catholic Church and the head of the Vatican City. That means that he is the leader of Catholics who might even be in a chair.
Correct.
Good. If there was a problem in Vatican, maybe when Francis was still a cardinal, he had an internal problem that is restricted in the Vatican City, and then he becomes Pope, and that same political problem lingers. At this point, the interest of Pope Francis affects Catholics who are not in the Vatican. So if we now say, no, this problem is limited to the Vatican City, you are wrong. Because the person that still has the problem is the leader of the Catholic Church. So the minute Fubara became governor of Rivers State, what was party problem became governance problem. Because people who might not be PDP members, who may not have voted in the election, who may not have owned PVCs, who might not even be interested in politics, were directly affected by the plans and policies of the government of that man. So that is my reason, and was my reason for saying that it is now beyond party.
Sam, the issue was not about the policies or programs of government.
In a way, it was.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. The now suspended Governor Fubara, nor the FCT Minister, nor Martin Amehule, or anybody for that matter has told you that it was about government programs and all of that. What actually started the problem was the attempt to impeach the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. The Speaker is of the PDP. Those who wanted to impeach him are also of the PDP. The governor is PDP. The FCT Minister is PDP. Down the line. Now, issues will arise. For example, when you talk about how positions in government are distributed. And yes, the governor is governor of Rivers State. But when you make your appointments, you have to give consideration to people who share the philosophy of the party on which platform you came on board.
You have to give consideration. Is that mandatory or?
Yeah, it's common sense. It's done all over the world. All those people who, in America, those who supported Trump are those who are in government today. Because if you bring people who don't share the philosophy of the party, they can run things amok and then put the party in jeopardy. Don't forget, the party is a going concern. By 2027, the PDP will be coming back to Rivers people to say, thank you for the mandate you gave to us in 2023. Please renew our mandate. And if you have not managed well, if you have not put your house in order, if you have not brought people who share your vision and who have translated those visions and plans into concrete, solid, projects that have positive impact on the lives and livelihoods of the people, then of course the party will be in trouble. That's how it works. So what happened was, how do we have won? How do we progress beyond winning election to forming a government and delivering on our promises. Disagreement happens. It's party, it's internal. But like I said, what made it to become what it became was poor handling. If it was properly handled, party elders were called in, party members were called in, the party organs, energized to tackle what has, whether you like it or not, embarrassed the party today and nip it in the bud as early as possible, we won't be here talking about this. And that is why I'm saying that if all that the FCT minister, who is the leader of the party in the state, and who is Governor Fubara's Oga, as he calls him, is only asking for apology, I think that is not asking for too much.
I think it is.
If you ask me, if I were the governor, I would display strength instead of weakness. Because you see, the problem we have in this part of the world is that sometimes people think that you have to fight every fight. No. Wise people choose their fights. And the fact that you have related with somebody for so long a period means that by now you should have known his idiosyncrasies. And for crying out loud, let us assume without conceding that there was something that the party members who brought you on board did that you didn't like. There was a way of dealing with it and not letting it get into the public fray.
Okay.
And that's what poor handling is. So
now
that we are where we are, anybody who loves River State, including you, should think of how do we get out of this point.
Okay.
And I am saying that if it is only to say, I am sorry, and this sorry is not only to the FCT minister. I told you the other time when you were asking me whether does he have to say it to the FCT minister. I said he has to say it to the FCT minister because he's the leader of the party. He has to say it to the party and the elders of the party, and even to Rivers people and Nigerians, because what happened affected people beyond the party.
Okay, Dr. Worlu. Now, this is my position, which obviously is on the other side of what you've said. There is nothing wrong in the governor apologizing to the FCT minister, right? There's nothing wrong to it if you look at it on the basis of an apology. The problem is what the apology now signifies in the scheme of things, because this has become a power play. And while I'm not asking anybody to lean in the direction of pride, the apology speaks more to the ego of the FCT minister than the governance of the people. And while I understand that there is internal party politics and how things work, the stakeholders in this now are the Rivers people. For example, you said it started with the attempted impeachment of a speaker. At that point, it was no longer party affair because that speaker, who is a lawmaker, a member of the legislature, is now a representative of people. So, impeaching you or attempting to impeach you is no longer an attack on your person, but the people you represent. So when there are more stakeholders involved, and again, I have to repeat so that I'm not misunderstood, there is nothing wrong in apologizing. But at this point, the apology will play more to the ego of the FCT minister than to the best interest of the people. And that's why all of this, there's a way it comes off, right? Yes, we all want peace. I live and work in River State. A River State that works for me as well. While I might not be an indigene, as indigene is described, I work here, I live here, my family lives here, I pay my taxes here. So the progress of this place is important to me. But we have to put on a scale all of the sides to this conversation. It is an internal party issue, which you have said, agreed. Is this in the best interest of the people that are being represented? Questions that must be answered. If the governor says, okay, let me go and apologize, which he can do, what does that mean Will the problem in Rivers State suddenly end? Will the emergency rule be called off? Will he be reinstated? Will the issue he had with the assembly members suddenly die? How does that reflect the best interest of the common Rivers man who may or may not have voted, who may or may not be a member of the PDP, who simply wants good governance through service delivery?
Okay, now let me ask you. What is the alternative? What would you like the governor do to end this issue?
Everybody involved should be apologetic, including the FCT minister. I don't think the apology should go from one side to the other, because the FCT minister has been accused of meddling. You said he's the leader of the party. That is disputable, but I'm not even going to go into that. As much as you believe that Siminalayi Fubara has offended and needs to apologize, I believe, this is my opinion, that the FCT minister also has a lot of things to apologize for. Because at this point, Dr. Worlu, his jurisdiction by appointment is Abuja. So the constant, I don't want to use the word intervention because that would invalidate the point I'm trying to make. The constant meddling into the affairs of Rivers State is disruptive. So that big round table that everybody claims is where everything is solved, let the governor be there, let the FCT minister be there, let the assembly members be there, I know you will be there, and the apology will go round. Everybody will apologize for what they have done in contributing to this problem. But if the apology is going from one side to the other, it plays more to ego. My personal opinion.
Sam, when the Bible says that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, it did not include.
Does that mean all should not ask for forgiveness?
Excuse me. Did it include that Jesus sinned? It said all have sinned.
In the context of all.
Did Jesus sin? Because they said all.
In the context of all,
Yes.
where the catchment area is mortals.
Jesus came as a mortal.
Jesus is not. No, he came as. He's no longer a mortal. He's not in the realm of
Sam,
mortality.
You must understand this thing this way. If there is an issue, you want to look for the way out of it. Okay. And like I said, if I were the governor, this is the list of the things that anybody can ask of me. To apologize, to say I'm sorry. And see, you have to understand first of all that politics is like business in a way.
Okay.
Yes. Because much as you cannot come on air and discuss politics in that context, they are the things you call unspoken, ideas or concepts.
Yeah.
But we all know that virtually all human actions are purpose-driven. Sam, you don't come to Nigeria Info every day at this time to talk for the sake of talking. You are talking because at the end of the day, or at the end of the month, you expect that something will happen. And beyond that, there are so many other benefits that you expect, including using this opportunity to develop yourself and all of that.
Indeed.
Yes. That is the same way that somebody can elect to be a member of a political party, to play politics with expectations. And then what happened. You remember I was appointed a commissioner?
Yeah.
Yes. As commissioner, beyond the money that I would have been paid as salary, maybe allowances for the work that I would do as commissioner, is the fact that it will become part of my CV. It will give me access. Okay, for example, since I left government, since I resigned,
I don't know what you want
I've
to say.
I've not been to government house because I don't have access anymore. These are privileges that you enjoy because of your involvement in politics. And because of what happened, people suffered all kinds of bruises. The apology is to say, well, maybe because I didn't handle this matter well. Or maybe it was something that was, I'm just new to this whole game. And I didn't know that things can, happen like this. I'm not quite experienced in matters of this nature. And then we have gone through this whole, it's about 2 years now, getting to 2 years of crisis. I'm sorry for things that I may have done wrong. And then you cannot call for other people to also say that they are sorry. Don't forget that he is the governor of Rivers State. And he is the one who will benefit the most if there is peace in Rivers State. Like I said, only people who are benefiting from this crisis would want it to continue ad infinitum.
Okay, Dr.
Otherwise, we should find a way. And if that way is simply to say, I am sorry. That word, I'm sorry, is just I am sorry. 3 words.
Okay.
Right? It's not too heavy.
Dr. Worlu, I have to take calls, but I would need you to give a brief answer to this question so that the listener can equally be a part of the conversation. The analogy you gave earlier was my status as a broadcaster with Nigeria Info. The fact that I come here every day, do this job, a paycheck comes with it, some benefits, and the opportunity to advance my career comes with being on this mic 1 every day between 3 and 7. But you see, even though that is a part of the agenda, I have to ensure that the mandate is fulfilled. That is, number 1, doing this job in alignment with the NBC code. While I want to advance my career and I need to make money and do all of that, I must ensure that the purpose of Talking for Development, which Nigeria Info claims that that is what it does, and sticking within the provisions of the NBC code, is how I achieve my personal goals and indeed the general goal. The day that I do otherwise, the day that my personal goal of trying to make money or gain favor goes against public interest, I'm now giving out misinformation. I'm now contravening sections of the NBC code, and I'm talking against development. That day, I'm not fit to be here anymore.
Isn't that what happened in Rivers State? What you're saying now is exactly what happened.
Yes, but what happened?
Listen, the governor
from whose end?
The governor, listen now.
From whose end?
The governor came in through a system. Mm-hmm. One of the cardinal properties of every system is that it has rules. Now, if you break those rules, the system will come after you. And that's what happened.
Hold on. The system of the party or the system of governance?
The party is a system. Governance is a system.
From your position, Dr. Worlu.
Any system that,
right?
Listen, if you break the rules of the system, just like you said, NBC will not spare you.
The way you have painted the party, the way you have painted it, you make the party seem like it is on the other side of public interest.
No.
That is exactly how you're painted
listen.
It. Because
the
Dr.
party,
Worlu,
the party
right?
articulated a manifesto and presented to the people of Rivers State. That's the PDP. The Labour Party did the same thing. APC did the same thing, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, Rivers people bought into the manifesto of the PDP.
Based on political influence.
And I don't know what you call, they voted. No. We people voted. And at the end of the day, the PDP won.
Fubara had.
Are you saying that was not what happened?
No, wait. Fubara had the backing of an incumbent. You can't take that political influence away, right?
No. In 2015, there was an incumbent.
That
That
was at loggerheads with the.
No. He had his
the incoming.
No, listen. He had his candidate, and he had his influence was behind his candidate, but the candidate lost.
Okay.
So if you have somebody whose influence made you to become governor, you have to play according to the rules of that system.
No, you don't have to play according to the rules if it goes against public interest.
I don't know. Can you tell me a situation where there was any attempt to go against public interest? We're only talking about, before you accepted to work in Nigeria Info, maybe you didn't even know about NBC code. It's possible.
I did. I've been a broadcaster for over a decade.
Okay, that's in your own. But there are some people who may come in and not know.
Yeah.
As you come, one of the first things during orientation that will show you is that thing. The first 1 week or two, except if the organization is not serious. If not, they will show you that these are the things you must follow. If you go against those things, the system will come after you. You'll be sanctioned here in Nigeria Info and maybe be recommended to NBC for further punishment.
Dr. Worlu, I understand that the interest of the party has to be protected. We can't deny it, right? The idea the
rules of politics itself. You are not playing That is why, you see, sometimes I tell people that I remember years back when Obama wanted to be president in the United States of America.
First or second term?
First term.
Okay.
First term. He came before this journalist who was asking him questions about his religion. They asked him, we hear you're a member of the Baptist church. He said, yes, you know. Then they asked him one thing about smoking and all of that.
Because of his name, Hussein.
Yeah, Hussein. Yeah, they asked those questions. And then at some point, he said, young man, I'm not vying to be the pastor-in-chief of America. I want to be president of America. Right? Now, sometimes people come into politics and they forget that it is politics that they are talking about. If you want to be a pastor, or you want to be a businessman, or you want to be a journalist, that's fine. But once you come into politics, it's no longer... See, sometimes what you call politics is public affairs. It's like what happens in Nigeria sometimes when a journalist sees a public officer and you want to ask a few questions, and the man is telling you that he will not talk to you. That's not correct. Because you're a public official and you should be open to talking to members of the public through the press.
Well, Dr. Worlu, the problem we always have when we talk...
So if you can't talk, if you cannot talk, or you don't know how to address public issues, don't come into the arena of politics.
The problem we always have is that the listener does not get enough time to be a part of the conversation. Unfortunately, I have failed in that regard today again, so I'll do my best. With the 5 minutes I have, 08179230002. I apologize because I'm going to rush you. My question is an apology from the River State Governor to the FCT Minister necessary? 08179230002. Hello, good afternoon. Okay, call back if you can. Let's see. Sam Chinedu, your guest in the studio, Dr. Give Worlu, has spoken well. At this point, what we need is for the suspended governor to approach his Oga, the FCT Minister, let him forget those around him. They are the ones deceiving him. Stanley Ihai Amadi from Elelewon has said. All right, Stanley, that's on WhatsApp. Thank you very much. Hello, Chima from GRA.
Good evening, Mr. Sam.
Good evening, Chima. You don't have a lot of time. Please go straight to the point.
Yes, Mr. Sam. I think the problem that we have with the people on the other side, they are now refusing to even recognize the governor as the leader of the state, just like your guest. That mention of the FCT Minister being the leader, and that has remained the problem because everything has happened. And for somebody to apologize, you need to tell the person where the thing has gone wrong. So what was this? Where is the governor gone wrong? Okay. Because I know that when the governor came into office, all the commissioners were given to him by the FCT Minister, including your guest.
Okay, Chima, so from that position, you don't think an apology is necessary. Joseph from LMA, good afternoon. Sorry, good evening.
Mr. Oracle, good afternoon.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yes, just as you rightly said, the peace of this state is the peace of everybody in Rivers State, including we that are resident in Rivers State. He is talking about how the governor can go about begging to ensure that peace is restored. But I've listened to the governor, I think, on a television channel some months back, where he said he has done everything for peace, including kneeling down to beg the former governor.
All right, so Joseph, very quickly, I don't want to rush you. Do you think an apology is necessary at this point?
The governor will do for him to forgive the governor. Now he's asking for the governor to come and beg.
Okay, your thoughts
I
quickly.
want to ask, come again.
Okay, thank you very much. Jude from Omoma. Go ahead, Jude. Is an apology necessary at this point?
You asked the question, the governor, Sam Fubara, apologizing to former governor Wike.
Yeah.
My question is, apologizing for having done what to Wike?
Okay.
Or apologizing for doing what? It doesn't make sense. Yes, when he was a party man with Wike, they played their party games. But now he is a governor of Rivers State. Me, Jude Upane, I'm not a member of PDP. So he's not even my fan. are so many Rivers people that have rallied around him
Okay.
to make sure, using him to fight former Governor Wike.
All right, thank you very much, Jude. So obviously you are not in support because you asked, apologize for what? The apology is not necessary. Good afternoon, that's Ogori from Port Harcourt. There is a procedure. It is illegal to assist someone secure a contested position. Also, a subject cannot demand apology from a governor. Also, a governor has immunity. Or when it just says, if I may ask, what did Governor Fubara do to the FCT Minister to render apologizing to the FCT Minister? It is not necessary at the moment. That's from Owanete Clinton West. Good afternoon. The guest is projecting the interest of the FCT Minister. When Wike was governor of the PDP, who was the leader of the party in the state, Wike has to apologize to the Rivers people. We have a break coming up. After that, I'll have a little time so I can wrap up conversations with my guests. Please stay with us.